28 years later, The Bone Temple is in theaters now, but will you be happy with the movie $28 later? Depending on, what ticket prices are and how many people go. It doesn't matter. I'll let you know right now. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring this video. Go to drinkag1.com/Dan Murrell to get their best offer and a free AG1 duffel bag and AG1 welcome kit with your first subscription order while supplies last. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my review of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which is the direct sequel to, you guessed it, 28 Years Later, which hit theaters last summer. This one is directed by Nia DaCosta in her franchise debut, but was written by Alex Garland, who scripted the original 28 Days Later and, of course, last year's movie. At first glance, I thought that this movie might be kind of a spin-off to the one that came out last year, but this is really a direct follow-up. It just shifts its focus to some of the other characters that we met last time. The most notable one is Ralph Fiennes' Dr. Ian Kelson, whom we were introduced to in the last film, along with his titular Bone Temple. If you missed the last movie, he is a former general practitioner who spent the last zombie apocalypse building his temple made from human bones as a tribute and requiem to the dead. And because building bone temples isn't exactly a sign of sanity, he's also gone a bit kooky, but not in a threatening way. I thought that Ralph Fiennes' performance was a standout in this film, which isn't shocking because he's a great actor. He is asked to do some stuff in this movie that is bananas. It is all the way out there, but he commits to it, and it's stuff that you're either going to go with or you're not going to go with. I went with it, and on a character level, this is a guy who's obviously gone crazy over the last 28 years, but in this movie, he starts to see kind of a ray of light of sorts, and it fundamentally alters who he is as a character. I think that Ralph Fiennes is one of the best actors working today because he is fearless and because he is totally committed. This movie would collapse with an actor who was not as willing to give himself over to the role, but Fiennes is, and the movie works because of it. All of his scenes in this movie are a delight, but there's one particular sequence in the third act that just had me grinning the whole time, which I know sounds weird for the kind of movie this is, but you'll understand it if you see it. It's a point where the insanity and the sanity of this character all meet together with the insanity of the world in which he lives. On the other side of the coin, we have Jack O'Connell's Jimmy, whose adult version we were introduced to in startling fashion at the end of the last movie. Jimmy and his gang, who are also all called Jimmy, felt out of place, I think, in Danny Boyle's world of the last movie, but they fit right into this one, a murderous cult who have never known a sane world and see their brutality and sadistic nature as normal. O'Connell is their ringleader who's managed to convince all of them that he's the son of the devil carrying out his father's plan to punish the world, and he makes for a really menacing heavy, a good villain, as he did in last year's Sinners. Jack O'Connell, I think, has been an underrated actor for a very long time, and I'm hoping that the roles that he's getting in some of these more high-profile films get him more of the attention and acclaim that he deserves. Lest we forget, this is also a franchise that is set in a world full of zombies or infected or whatever you want to call them. And my main issue with any kind of zombie infection story is that I'm always wondering about the end game. In a world this fundamentally changed, what could the end game possibly be? How could you bring meaningful change to this world? Or are you just tracking it through the characters? That has kind of been the message of the last movies in this franchise, is that all hope in this world is hopeless. But this film does open the door to a path ahead, even if the franchise chooses not to walk through that door in future films. I'm guessing that these elements may be the most polarizing parts of the movie, but I thought that they were kind of beautiful in their own way, and they involve each of the main characters, Kelson, Jimmy, and the alpha zombie Samson, in meaningful ways that left me intrigued and not frustrated. It's interesting how these two movies have been positioned from a marketing standpoint. I think that the trailers and everything for 28 Years Later set me and other audiences up to expect perhaps a more conventional movie, and instead we got something a little bit more lyrical, which isn't a shocker from Danny Boyle. And with the abstract imagery that's been used to market this movie, I was expecting something a little more off the beaten path. Instead, these first two movies in this new series kind of mirror 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. The first is more stylized, more infused with Danny Boyle's unique flair, and introduces us to a world, and the second gives us a little bit more of a straightforward story in that world. Now, I liked both 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later for different reasons, and I enjoyed 28 Years Later, although I wasn't fully on board with everything that Danny Boyle was doing in that film. I have to say, thinking back on it, and it's just first impressions, I think that I liked this movie a little bit more than I liked 28 Years Later. It's still not a typical zombie/infected film. It's obvious that this era of the franchise is about the changed world. It is not solely about the monsters that inhabit that world, but it did what a good movie does. It kept me interested, it kept me intrigued, it kept me guessing about what was going to happen next. I cared about the characters. There was some suspense about what was going to happen to them. It's still bloody and gruesome, but very little of that is connected to the infected. It's at the hands of this new generation who have never known anything else but horror. And it's reflected through Dr. Kelson, who's beginning to remember what a time before was like. And while I do think this is a more straightforward film tonally and stylistically, I'm not saying that The Bone Temple plays it safe. This movie takes some pretty big swings, and I think that the film connects on those swings. I think that this does what a good franchise film should do, in that it is connected on a narrative level directly with the other movies. I think it fits narratively with those other movies, but it is also not just part of a cookie cutter. Nobody's hedging their bets here, but it is in the style of the specific filmmaker who's making the film. The last movie was Danny Boyle's film. This movie is Nia DaCosta's film. And it really is a shame that the Marvels will forever, or at least in the short term, be thrown at the feet of Nia DaCosta, because the more movies I see of hers, the more it becomes very obvious that she was just swallowed up by the Marvel Cinematic Universe machine, which, by the way, was squeaking and faltering long before she came on board to direct the Marvels. She directs this film very confidently. It has a very good look. The performances are very strong. I think that she did a really good job with this movie, and it's going to be a big reason why we might get more films set in this world. It sounds like we're going to in some number of weeks, months, or years from now. There is a definitive setup to what the next movie in this franchise is going to be, and it looks like they are on track to try to unite the 28 days, weeks narrative with the 28 years narrative, and I'm very interested to see what happens next, because I don't really know what to expect from this franchise at this point. It is somewhat surprising that we got a story this, for lack of a better word, normal from Alex Garland, who often takes these kind of crazy flights of fancy, but it doesn't feel out of step with what's come before. And part of that is Nia DaCosta helping to kind of unite everything. Part of it is that you are bringing over existing characters. They don't feel changed. It doesn't feel like they're in a different movie or that they're in completely different hands. It just feels like two different pieces of a puzzle. I think that 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple is a suspenseful, horrific, at times surprisingly funny film, at times beautiful film that is able to keep this franchise on track. So on my personal rating scale, I'm giving 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple a solid it's good rating. If you liked 28 Years Later, I think that you're going to like this one. And if you were maybe put off a little bit by some of the odder elements of the last movie, I'd say still give this one a shot, because it brings over a lot of what did work and changes a lot of other stuff that may have been more polarizing from the last movie. So those are my thoughts on the latest 28 Years Later film. What do you think? You're going to be heading to the theater to see it? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, AG1. It's a new year, which for a lot of people means a new focus on ways to improve. But the truth is, there isn't a right or wrong time to get healthier. There's just right now. And AG1 is one way that you can start prioritizing yourself and your health. Anyone who's tried to meaningfully change their habits can tell you that it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. I know I've struggled with that in the past. AG1 helps you simplify your nutrition in one scoop that contains a multivitamin, pre- and probiotic, superfoods, and antioxidants. One scoop in 8 ounces of water and you're done in 20 seconds. And AG1's next-gen formula has added more vitamins and minerals than ever. I've used AG1 for quite a while, and they have helped me shake things up recently by introducing some new flavors. You not only have original, you also have tropical, citrus, and berry. And for me, when I'm doing something every day, variety really helps to keep me on track. AG1 now provides that variety, and they also gave me some travel packs that I can use when I'm on the road, like I am right now. AG1 has over 50,000 verified 5-star reviews and comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Go to drinkag1.com/Dan Murrell to get their best offer. For a limited time only, get a free AG1 duffel bag and free AG1 welcome kit with your first subscription order only while supplies last. That's drinkag1.com/Dan Murrell, drinkag1.com/Dan Murrell. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned right here for the latest in movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.